My name is Stephanie Williams, and I am the president of the Women's Political Collaborative. And on behalf of the collaborative and our members, I welcome you to this Lunch and Learn discussion on women in politics around the world, and thank you for joining us today. I also want to thank our moderator, Judge Patsy Cottrell, who will be moderating for us today, and our guest, Metro Council Lady Berkeley Allen, and City Councilor Stephanie Meyer from our sister city of Magdeburg. I may have chopped that up a little bit. Magdeburg, Germany. Thank you all for being here. We are very excited to partner with Sister Cities of Nashville for this program today. Before we get started, I want to encourage each and every one of you joining us today to become a member of the Women's Political Collaborative. We are built on the strength of our membership, and our membership allows us to continue to bring informative programs and events to the community, such as the one we are doing today. Joining is a very simple process. It takes less than 5 minutes, and you can join us at www.WPCTN.com. And speaking of programming that we do, we've got a couple of really good programs coming up. Next week, our book club on June 23rd, we'll have a discussion at 6 p.m. We'll meet via Zoom about My Sister, the Serial Killer, and that's going to be hosted by Miss Sarah Lee Woods. And we are also working on finalizing the details for a program on race relations that we're looking to have on June the 30th. So we're very excited about that. I would like to now introduce you to our moderator, Judge Patsy Cottrell. Judge Cottrell began her legal career in 1976 as an assistant attorney general. Mayor Bredesen subsequently named her director of law for the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County in 1991. And she also served in the office of the Attorney General, including as Chief Deputy Attorney General. In 1998, she was appointed to the Tennessee Supreme Court of Appeals by Governor Don Sundquist and was elected to full terms in 2000 and 2006, and she retired from her service with the courts in 2014. Judge Cottrell is also a founding member of the Lawyers Association for Women, an alumni of Leadership Nashville, and an adjunct faculty member at Belmont University College of Law. And most recently was Chief Compliance Officer for the Government of Nashville and Davidson County under the Briley administration. We're honored to have her serve as the moderator for this discussion today. Good afternoon, Judge Cottrell.
Good afternoon, Stephanie. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. So we're ready to get into the program. We're excited.
Okay, good. We're gonna start with, I want to introduce our panel members. First of all, our own council member at large, Berkeley Allen, was elected to an at-large council seat last year. And before that, she served as a district council member from the West End, Hillsborough, Belmont area. She was elected first to the council in 2011 and re-elected in 2015. Before her time in the council, she served her community and her neighborhood in a number of volunteer activities. And I just learned that she has been a frequent visitor to Magdeburg. So that's the connection, because she is on the board of Sister Cities too. And then we are very fortunate and privileged to have with us all the way from Magdeburg. And for her, it's not a lunch and learn, it's a dinner and learn, because it's 7 p.m. there. Councilor Stephanie Meyer, a member of the Magdeburg City Council. She has been a member of the council since 2009 and was part of the delegation that visited Nashville for the 10-year anniversary of the Nashville-Magdeburg Partnership through Sister Cities in 2013. I'm going to ask each of them to give you a brief background. Please tell us about yourselves, personal, professional, political, otherwise, and maybe a couple of minutes each. And we'll start with our guests from Germany, Councilmember Meyer.
So, hi, hello. I've always been a political person. I don't know why, it has always just been that. And I started studying politics and sociology in 2002. And I was just wondering how it is to make politics. So I joined the party and I joined the Social Democrats in 2003. And I ran for the city council in 2004, but it was a back place, so not really realistic to get voted in, and I didn't. But then I ran again in 2009, and since then it is my third term running and serving my sister city, not sister city, my city, sorry. And yeah, I've always been interested in politics, and so my job is some sort of political too, because I'm a asylum case worker, so I listen to asylum reasons for people that come to Germany and ask for asylum, and I decide whether they have asylum reasons or not, whether they lie or not. And that is also a political thing, because you have to know a lot of problems that they might have in their countries. And yeah, in the work I'm doing as a council member, I've always been into the culture committee, and I've been into the women's equal committee too, but not at the moment, because we have lost some votes, so we have a little less to say. So I'm only in the Committee of Culture, but this is also very important because we are running for European Culture Capital in 2025. So we have a lot of things to do there as well. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Allen.
Thank you. I have a different story. I'm an engineer by trade and moved to Nashville in 1982 and got involved in my neighborhood association just as a way to plug into the community in what to me at the time was a big city. And through that neighborhood association, got involved initially with tree planting and then with historic preservation and then zoning. And by the time I had dealt with those type of issues, I thought I essentially had been operating as a junior council member, and at the appropriate time that I would officially run. And that opportunity presented itself in 2015 when there was an opening, and I jumped right in and thoroughly enjoyed the process of walking my entire district, which is a very small, compact, and very walkable district, and got to meet a lot of people. And have been on the council, as Patsy said, since 2011. I have served on the budget committee almost all those years and have been involved in planning and zoning, and am now focusing as much as I can on housing affordability, which is a huge issue in Nashville. So have tried to work for solutions to create incentives that will make it possible in this this booming time, formerly booming time until the last couple of months, to build houses that the people who live and work and make Nashville the exciting place to be, make it affordable for them to also live within the city, so that they don't have to deal with traffic, which is another issue that we need some pretty serious solutions on. So it's been exciting to be part of a city that is in general thriving, pandemic notwithstanding, but to be involved in looking for solutions for the issues that make life less than perfect here. I'm grateful for the opportunity to do that.
Thank you both. Just to make sure I understood this, each of you has a profession, a job in addition to the council member is a part-time political job. Yeah, not full-time. Okay.
It's honorary in German.
Honorary. It's really voluntary. Yeah, exactly. I do want to recognize a couple of Sister Cities members who have deep connections with Magdeburg who have joined us. Marietta Shipley, former judge in Davidson County, and Doug Berry, prominent attorney. Hello, guys. Okay, first, could we just learn a little bit about Magdeburg? Like, where is it? And it's been a sister city of Nashville since 2003. And what's the population, essentially the size?
Yeah, okay. It's south of Berlin. It's the capital of Saxony-Anhalt. Saxony-Anhalt is one of 16 federal states of Germany. It has 230,000 people living in. Yeah, and I've moved here in 1982 too, because I was born that year.
Okay, good. Berkeley, I mean, would you just tell us what the population of Nashville is? I know you probably know.
Nashville is currently working its way from 800,000 up to 900,000. If you look just at the city, our regional area is closer to 1 million or to 2, depending on how many counties you go outside of there. So we're
Right.
a little larger than Magdeburg, but do have a number of things in common that make it logical for us to be sister cities.
Okay, and I want to ask about both of you about basically the structure of the local government and of the council, and is your council legislative only, and how does it work with the administration?
Should I start?
Yes.
Please, yes, that would be great.
We have a professional leader of the city. This is the mayor and the ministers, Beigeordnete called here. This is 7, I guess. We just elected 2 of those with women, which is very positive because it's all men. Just 1 woman, now it's 3. And we have 56 council members, and it is a cooperative. We have to say yes to some draw sheets from the professional government, so from the mayor, and then we also change things and give things that should be done by the professionals, and then they say, okay, we do it, and if we have the majority of votes, then they do it. So it's a mix. We both have to say and change things in the city, for the city.
And you said there are 56 council members?
Yeah.
How many of those are women?
14.
14?
14, not 40.
That would be interesting, wouldn't it?
It's a little less than it was.
And are they popularly elected by the people?
Yeah.
Is it by
All.
district? Is it by district, or is it the whole city?
It's by district. So people,
Okay.
where you live, you can vote for your.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Allen,
Yeah, so
sort of fill us in?
Nashville is a metropolitan form of government, so city and county are combined, which has been very efficient. It's a strong mayor government. There are 40 council members. We are the 3rd largest council in the country after New York and Chicago. So it's always interesting to hear that Magdeburg has lots more than we do. So different setup, but I think it's very good representation, and everyone knows their council member and does not hesitate to contact them. But I think that's the way democracy is supposed to work. So I think that has worked well. This year, for the first time, half the council is women. So it began actually, but from the first council that was elected, there was female representation on the council. So and I think that's partly a function of having such a large council. It creates the diversity that we need to make sure demographics are represented. We are much more diverse now than we were, I would say, in 1963 when we began. We have a process of, the budget process is one where the mayor begins with his budget, and the council makes changes and ultimately passes ours. We just finished that process, as all the folks from Nashville know. And in general, I would say we work more in parallel. The mayor has his priorities that often he can do just through executive function. We spend much of our time dealing with zoning issues and with how the government spends money on various projects around the city. So there are times when I think the council wishes we had more influence over some of the decisions that are made. But in general, it's a collaborative relationship, and most of the time we're able to get the will of the people done, and that's what ultimately matters.
Thank you. What kinds of issues are most important to the people in your city? And now, of course, I assume you might want to talk about resiliency from the COVID-19 pandemic here in Nashville, from tornadoes in Magdeburg, they had floods, and of course, the whole budget situation. So I'll actually start with you, Berkeley, if you don't mind.
Oh, okay. I'll go back to that. Well, certainly, I mean, the immediate issues right now in terms of resiliency are the tornado that passed through here in, gosh, when was that, March? Yeah, March, before everything else went crazy. And trying to thread the needle now between protecting people's health with regard to the COVID virus and enabling businesses to get back to business and open back up again so that people can go back to work and resume their livelihoods. And that's a huge challenge. So watching our health department incorporate new data as it comes in and try to make decisions on how gradually or how quickly we allow people to resume what feels something like normal activity is something that I think everyone in the city is dealing with, both from the health department standpoint all the way up to the metro government. The city budget is a process we just finished, and partly because of previous decisions that have been made, and partly because of the loss of revenue from the COVID pandemic shutdown, we had to make some major adjustments in the last month of that process, and finally passed a budget Wednesday morning, should have been Tuesday night, that I think will I think be a challenge for people to work with, but we had very little choice or wiggle room in just trying to deal with keeping the government functions going that are important. People still need their garbage picked up. They still need roads paved. We still need our schools to function, and it's just trying to figure out how to make that work. So that's the most immediate issues. As I have said, the ongoing issue that I am reminded of constantly is just how we create more housing that's affordable for the people who are working in Nashville to live in. And that's a topic that we hear from a lot. And then the final one that has certainly raised a lot of national attention now is just the racial inequity that we are, I think, all coming to realize is just baked into our system, not necessarily through malicious intentions all the time, but the fact that it still persists is a problem. And I think people who have not been aware of that are becoming aware of that. And that to me is a hopeful thing, that now that we've begun to be more deliberate about identifying where those issues are, that we can begin to make substantive changes. And I'm hopeful that that's something that a lot of attention will go into now that our attention on the budget is over, that we can begin to make those changes and have those conversations.
Councilmember Meyer, just so you know, our budget process that just ended from the council's perspective involved a large tax increase. We get government money, local government money, largely from taxes on property, real estate that people own. And there was an increase because of all the budget deficits. So if you could talk about maybe what is most important to the people in your city right now, and how you sort of fund the government if you've had similar issues with the budget process.
Our budget process starts in October, November, and finishes in December. So we also have some taxes on property and firm, economy, whatever. But most money we get is from the federal state. So we have to work on that. It's more of a country problem. The most issues we are building a lot of flats at the moment. There's a lot of private investment and a lot of interest in houses also, which makes the prices a little higher, which could be a problem. We are a booming town, so a lot of people try to come here, and we try to make it work. We have still a lot of places that can be developed as housing and living places. And there's a lot of building sites in the city, which is a constant annoyment to the people who live here because they can't get anywhere. But you know, the more people you get, you have to build new transporting ways, new tram lines, and new the tunnel at the main station was a huge thing, still building. It gets more expensive and it takes longer, just like always. But it's necessary. So keep the city livable and alive, and vivid is a thing.
How are you all dealing with the COVID-19? Do you have
Um,
restrictions on people being close and wearing masks and those things?
yeah, that's normal, and keeping distance and everything. The first I don't know, 4 8 weeks it was a federal law, so Mrs. Merkel said something and everybody had to do it, like, to make it simple. And now the crisis is a little down, so the local health departments can say what to do. We had 4 weeks without any case in Magdeburg.
Hmm.
But now that the borders are open and traveling starts again, we have a new hotspot, and we have some like 50 new cases here. And yeah, so it will be a constant struggle, I guess. We have to live with that until we have a medicine or something.
So are people required to wear masks?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
obviously a personal thing with me, but
Yeah, in public services and in shops, and yeah.
okay, thank you. Okay, I think earlier you all talked a little bit about how you got interested in politics, and particularly you, Councilmember Meyer, you studied it in college. You studied it so you always knew you wanted to be involved in public service.
Yeah. Something to do with people.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It's always when you get asked in school what you want to do, is somebody says, I want to do something with media, or I want to do something with people, and I wanted to do something with people.
Well, good.
With all four.
So what was sort of the process? How did you start trying to run for political office?
This is easier for people, women in Germany who are in left-wing parties, because there's a women's quota for like 30 years. So they have to be, when you are a woman and you want to run, they promote you. You are logically on place 2 or even higher on place 1 when there's a list to elect. And when you have like 6 places and there are 10 people trying to get there, and there are just 3 women trying to get there, those 3 women are in the 6 because it has to be equal. That's the woman quota. And the Green Party and the Left Party has that too, but the Conservatives don't have that. And you see that in the council right now, because 12 of those 14 are from left-wing parties. 12 of those 14 women who are in the city council of Magdeburg are from left-wing parties, and just 2 from the Conservatives, because they don't have the quota. So it's tougher to get that.
So at least some of the advancement of women in political office has been a movement, an intentional movement.
Yeah.
Not just organically.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Right. But we have to do more to get it into the people, into the society, to make it normal to vote women. You know, you have to be voted. You don't only run, but you have to get the most votes. And that's tougher to do.
Is that right? It's still harder if you're a woman?
Yeah, I guess so.
And what? Well, you know, Angela Merkel is a very powerful and well-respected woman in Europe. Has she had any influence in making it more acceptable or for women?
It's tough because she's from a conservative party and she's doing it, but more like so that you don't really know it. It's becoming more normal to see a woman there. That's what she's doing. She's not promoting it, you know, like we have to promote women. She's just there, and that's enough to see that it is possible. Yeah. I've seen some major changes in her chancellorship.
Berkeley, do you want to address the sort of growth of women in politics?
Yeah, I would say, as you said, it has been somewhat more organic here for the most part, you know, beginning with Betty Nixon and Joanne North, as you were saying earlier, back in the 70s, early 80s, you know, that we've gone from having 1 or 2 women on the council to half the council,
which is amazing. Did we lose you?
Yeah, I'm afraid.
Sarah, did we lose Berkeley? Oh wait, maybe she's back. Well, in any event, yes, we have had women in political roles since maybe late 70s or whatever. but not as many. And there've been, I think, a lot of organic growth, but also a number of women's organizations who have made it their priority to get women elected, including the collaborative. So we have had some women's organizations, not official political parties, but women's organizations. Berkeley, you're back?
Sorry, I don't know what happened. My internet is not always dependable. Yeah, so I was just saying, I think it has grown organically, and I think an important thing that has happened in Nashville is moves within businesses to provide more equitable treatment of females and males, and that would include even the Family Leave Act and allowing men to take time off for beginning a family. I mean, I think as we allow the families to be that both parts of a family or both parents of a family to be responsible for child rearing, that it takes some of the expectation that that's the role that women are going to do, and they're not going to have time to participate. And I think that has opened things up, and I think it's opened up opportunities for men that they didn't have before with regard to being engaged in their family, but also I think made it more possible for women to be able to split the time between their profession and their child rearing, because they're not expected to be carrying the whole brunt of that. So I think that's an important change in our society that's made it possible for women to participate more fully.
Well, and I think, in different areas, like my profession, legal profession, the number of women lawyers has certainly grown since the 70s, and they're everywhere, and it's just part of the fabric now.
It's normal now. That's exactly right. Well, as a female engineer,
yes.
I spent a lot of time being, the only female in a room full of old men in gray suits. So it's changed a lot, which I'm grateful for.
Yeah, right. And I was saying while you were having difficulties that there have been some women's organizations in Nashville who have really, it's not political parties per se, but women's organizations like the Collaborative, the Political Caucus before that have have made it a priority to get women elected, and done seminars, done training for women who wanted to run.
That's an excellent point.
What do you think women can do to play a bigger role in the governmental system, we'll call it, the running government, affecting the political system, if they don't really want to run for office, they don't want to be a candidate, but they want to affect the system or help with good government or whatever? Do you have any suggestions on what they might get into doing?
Networking. Yeah.
Networking.
Contact the people that have something to say, or meet constantly. Meetings, we have some, like for every 3 months we have a meeting with important women of the city to talk about certain issues and bring it into the political era. And networking, just telling or being interested in one theme and going for it, and contacting people and speak to people, talk to people.
And I would add to that, I think that's exactly right. Being proactive about contacting elected officials about important issues. I mean, there are certainly some people that are driving what happens in Nashville. I think of Odessa Kelly, who's executive director of Stand Up Nashville, has done an amazing job of changing the way government is doing stuff without being an elected official, because she will show up at council meetings and speak eloquently and passionately and accurately on issues that need to be changed. So I think, being leading organizations or just participating in organizations and then communicating with elected officials in a way that they can't ignore can make a huge difference in how cities change the way that they're doing business, and that's important.
And what about working in campaigns? Is that important, or being active politically?
Yeah. I mean, I think of all the volunteers that go into making a successful campaign. I mean, from the person who delivers signs, to people who are willing to make cold phone calls, just to licking stamps. And I had people putting stickers over my 2011 election signs to cover up the District 18 with that large so that I could continue runs. I mean, just anything you can do to help a candidate reach more people can change the world. And that can be very forward facing and people involved, or it can be just organizational and stuff that you can do in your pajamas in your bedroom at midnight. So people can absolutely make a difference in whatever way suits their personality.
Steffi, do you agree? Just being involved in campaigns too?
Well, that's a bit different, I guess, in Germany, because we have sub-organizations of our party, and I'm leading one. We have 7 in Magdeburg, and I'm leading like 80 members of my party in my sub-organization. So I can choose from them to help me campaigning. There are women in, of course, but more men, like always.
And wait, is there a way for more women to get involved, or are they chosen differently somehow?
Well, when you want to join a party, you have to do it. Yeah, we are. It's as simple as that. We are trying to get women and new members, but it's tough to do. Is
it difficult to get women involved to spend their time on political things?
Yeah, it is. I don't know why. I've always been interested, like I said, and I always wanted to change, and I always wanted to understand how I can change. But we have, there are always women in I can only tell from my experience, in my organization, there are always coming new women, and they are there for like 3 months or a year, and then you don't see them anymore. They're still in the party and they're still in my organization, but they don't come to the general meetings. We have one meeting each month. I don't really know why. And I try to get them in and try to say, what do you want? What do you want to change? Why are you here? Tell me about your ideas. How can I help to make your ideas real? And it's tough, but it's the same with men. So we have new members and they don't come. You have to have luck with some people who are interested and are not resigning soon to when they don't have the ultimate success in like 2 days or so. You have to, the internet world is not making politics easier, because politics takes time, you know. Sometimes it takes a year or longer to make a thing work, and most people don't have that time anymore.
Don't have the patience anymore.
Yeah, patience. Yeah.
Berkeley, do you want to add anything?
Yes, I mean, I think it's interesting that there may be folks who don't understand how the political party and the list system works in Germany, because that it's just so different for us. It may be hard for us to understand how that works, because for us it's almost a free for all. I mean, anybody that can get 25 signatures, you know, can just show up and hand in their piece of paper and you're on the ballot.
That can be done here too, but when you are in a party, you have more money. The party spends money on you. You have more. You're well known. You have more pictures in the streets and everything. Yeah. It's easier to run when you are in a party.
You have that support. I'm sure that makes a huge difference. And here, although parties, at least at the local level, this is a nonpartisan race. So there's very little involvement with the parties, and it's pretty much grassroots and how many doors you can knock on, at least for the district council. And so having people power makes a huge difference, because if you can mobilize more people, and it seems to me, and Patsy, you can weigh in on this, that many of the activists in Nashville are women. I mean, I feel like it's more than half. I mean, there are a lot of passionate people who care deeply about changes that need to be made, that are spending a whole lot of time to not be an elected official. They're showing up as much as I am to all these meetings, because they believe that they can make a difference in issues like how our schools are run, and where housing is, and how transportation works. Whether that's working on a campaign or just, as I said, through the organizations that are advocating at the council and the state level as well.
Yeah,
I think that's right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Steffi.
It's very important to make clear that you have a difference. You can make a difference when you are active. And that's what women have to learn, men too, but women more, because they have a different way of looking at society. And I think it's very important to have more women, because then you have the society in the political process as well.
Yeah, I think, Berkeley, you were talking about mainly women have gotten into leadership roles in a lot of community organizations that have maybe different purposes, different missions or whatever, and have risen to those roles. And that's one way to have influence and not run for office, perhaps, is to pick your issue, pick your group, and try to get a leadership role and then the influence that might come from that. Is that right? Well, I noticed when I was back at Metro recently that there are a lot of women department heads, a lot of women employees of the government in some serious and important positions. And I don't know the percentage, but I did notice a real difference from 30 years ago or 25, whatever it was. Yeah. Which is another way, I guess. You don't have to run for office if you want to be involved in the governing, the actual delivery of the services, or the performance of that, but not be in the political end of it. I guess that's a way to influence the community. Yeah, and good government, I guess.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you feel like any certain expectations have been placed on you because you're a woman in either your campaigning or your role?
I was not used to playing the role of the strong woman and being a role model. I was not used to it. I more or less, I was more afraid of that, because it's a big shoe you have to walk in. But now I'm 11 years in the city council, and I'm in the public. So I'm used to that, and I'm playing the role because when I'm not doing it, nobody else will do it. So I'm trying to be a good role model and show what we can change and how the general speaking can change of the politics in Magdeburg.
Great. Berkeley, you think you had different expectations being a woman?
I think it just feels so much more normalized now that half the council is female.
Yeah. But it wasn't always that way.
It wasn't always that way, and I'm so grateful for all the people that paved the way for us to make it feel normal and not like something. Again, I will say in the engineering world, I'm very aware, of being in the minority almost all the time, where you walk into a meeting and the person stands up front and says, "Well, gentlemen," and I'm thinking, "Hello." But that clearly that doesn't happen on the council, and we've, thanks to Councilmember Angie Henderson, we've actually changed the charter to reflect that. It doesn't say councilman and he shall do such and such. In every place now it says council member and he or she. So I think we've come to a place where gender is less of an issue, and people can choose issues that they're passionate about. I think in the past it was assumed, as you said, Patsy, that women would be focused on family issues and domestic violence and schools and things like that, and the men would deal with public works and things like that. And I think these days, if as an engineer, I happen to care a lot about what pipes go in the ground and stuff like that. And I care about family issues as well. But I mean, I think we've made room now for people to of all genders, orientations, to choose what they're interested in, sort of regardless of where they're coming from necessarily. And I think that enables us to have the best people working on all the neat, important topics, which I think is a benefit to everyone. So I think the continued move towards just having options is it's a step in the right direction. I mean, it's a win for everyone, and I'm glad that we're getting closer and closer to being where we need to be on that.
You live in paradise.
Yeah.
This was good about we've come a
Yeah,
long
because
way.
it's normal, because you don't have to play a role model. You don't have
Right.
to be a role model.
Yeah, well, and I say that at the local level. I mean, clearly we have yet as a country to elect, a female leader, and Germany has beat us there, as have many other countries. So I would say we're not there at every level, but for some reason in Nashville, and maybe it's because we have thousands of universities here, but I think it's just an open-minded populace that has given women a chance, and I think that we've shown that we can do it, by golly, and that's made a difference at the local level.
Let's talk briefly about fundraising, because that was something years ago, was the rap on women couldn't really raise money for political campaigns. Do you think that's changed the view of that? Berkeley, I'll ask you since.
I would say so. I will have to say it takes a certain kind of personality to call up perfect strangers and ask them for hundreds of dollars. And that's certainly not my favorite part of running a campaign, but it's just, you got to bite the bullet and just do it. And I think so much of fundraising is related to connections. Either people directly, or people who know people. But it's a lot easier for someone to make an investment in you if they have a reason to believe in you. And you can put whatever you want to on your website, but so many people go more by recommendations of people. As I was going through my campaign, I kept asking anybody I ran into, how do you decide who you're going to vote for? And that sort of translates into, how do you decide who you're going to contribute to? And 9 out of 10 people would say from a recommendation from someone that I trust, not because I studied their website or I really like their signs, or they've got this really fun jingle on their website, or Facebook or whatever. So knowing people is important. And as networks become more gender neutral, I think it becomes easier for women to be able to tap into all of those networks. And that's the biggest change that's happened.
Good. And, I think also, I'm just putting in my 2 cents worth, but women have also taken on fundraising roles in nonprofits and in other areas. So it sort of lends itself more to the political arena. Councilmember Meyer, you all don't have to raise your own money. It
No.
comes from the party. So you don't have to ask people for money.
We take the donations we get, but I don't have to call anybody to give me some money. My local organization, as I said, sub-organization, has 10,000 euros, and we spend for a local, we get money from the bigger party elements, and we spend because last week we had the re-election of the leadership of the little organization I'm leading, and we spent for the last campaign, we spent 1,500 euros only. And so we have now 5 years to get the money back, so that we can start in 5 years again. We don't have to spend so much money on the local campaign, because it's just we only get 300 euros a month for what we do. So that's why it's 56. We're just doing it besides our normal jobs.
Councilmember Allen, you probably spent more than 1,000 euros.
A little bit more.
Yeah.
Not so much for the district, but for the at large.
I was going to say, countywide, metro-wide campaigns can be very expensive.
Yeah, because you can't knock on everybody's door. So, you have to go to a different method of reaching people, and that just takes more funding.
Mm-hmm. Do you think there are women involved in like running campaigns a lot more than there used to be? A lot of campaign managers, advisors, consultants, or do you think it's still a lot of male?
I will say most of the campaign consultants that I know are female, but they've been at it a good while. So I have not seen the evolution of that. I think I came into it by the time that there were already a lot of very capable women running some pretty high level campaigns.
I think on a national level that might not be quite.
That is probably true, and I have not spent time at that level of campaigning, so I It's
Right. Lucky for you, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Councilmember Meyer, are a lot of women involved in sort of the governing of the parties, the
Yeah,
organization, the
as I said, we have a women's quota, so we have a lot of meetings, a lot of organizations, and a lot of meetings, like I said, and there are a lot of women in there, so they decide how to campaign and what to do. And I'm leading my campaign, of course, myself. I have 2 districts to campaign in for the local city council, and I've been leading it ever since I'm in. So I'm my own campaign.
right, right. Well, here, I think we were just talking about there are many campaigns hire somebody who is not the candidate to actually do the mechanics of
Mm.
running the campaign, and that's really what we were talking about. You all don't use
In
outside
local
professional.
politics, no, no, not in local politics.
You think they do it? Did they do it at the national, the federal level?
Yeah, national wide, and also the federal states. That when you have elections for the parliaments, there that is professional.
Mm.
So
Is it mainly men, or are there a lot of women who do that job now?
I've never run. I don't know. I will know next year because I'm running for the local for
Oh,
the
what are you running for? The federal?
federal parliament in Saxony-Anhalt.
Oh, wow. Great. Great. Let us know
Yeah, keep us posted.
how it is. Is there anything else you all would like to talk about, or any questions you were expecting, or just topics you want to talk about? And then I want to talk a little bit about Magdeburg, Nashville, sister cities. Okay.
We should do that too. But I would, since I've learned that Councilmember Meyer is an immigration or an asylum
I know, that was interesting.
attorney, yeah, I would love to hear a little more about how immigration is and asylum seekers, and I understand those are 2 very different
Yeah,
issues.
correct.
Correct. How, I mean, I know there has been tension in the past in Germany over
All the people coming.
all the people coming. Yeah, is there room for them, and is there housing for them, and all that? Has that kind of fallen by the wayside with other issues that have taken more attention, or is that still an issue that y'all are dealing with?
Well, we have a party that has been growing under that issue, this the AfD. So it is not the main issue right now because the borders are closed. Not many people are coming anymore, but that doesn't really solve the real problem, you know. So that's I'm not too sad that it's not the big issue anymore because the discussion was not very nice to hear because I missed a lot of empathy from the people. I was kind of shocked. So it's good to have that silence now, but it is not a solution in itself. So yeah, as you said, migration and asylum is a big difference. The organization I'm working for is a federal organization, and it's called Migration and Asylum, but we only do asylum because we don't really have a migration law. When somebody is coming to us and has no asylum reasons, but he's willing to live here and work here, he is pretending to have an asylum reason to get protection to live and work here. But because he has no other choice, because we don't have a migration law like you have. And
sort of.
yeah, not a point system, which one is the best for the country, or so we don't have that effectively. And so people are trying to get into Germany with the asylum system, which is not helpful. We have to protect the asylum law for people who are really in danger in their home countries because of their sexual orientation or because of political or religious reasons or some. So we have to see that the people that we have to protect are the ones that need protection and not the ones that want to live here for economic reasons.
Right. Yeah, I think that's a similar issue that we deal with here. But yeah, I mean, I think it's something that I think having a better immigration law so that people didn't have to go that route would free up your energy to be able to focus on how to help the people that need that. And then the other issue I wanted to ask about as I mentioned earlier, was housing affordability is a big problem in Nashville. And I have, going back to Magdeburg's former East German roots, which is, you were a child then, so it may be something you've only heard from your parents, but there was
I've experienced it.
yeah.
I look younger than I am.
Gotcha. But you know, at different times in each country's history, I think we've made a very deliberate effort to build housing, you know, and the government was involved in building housing to ensure that people had a safe and reasonably clean place to live. And in this country today, we just sort of left that to the private sector to take care of. And I'm not sure what's happening in Germany, but in the United, at least in Nashville, where I'm seeing it the most, but it seems to be an issue nationwide. The private sector and a market-driven solution is having a hard time just dealing with the economics of it and what it takes to motivate someone to build a house because they think they're going to make money off of it doesn't motivate them to build the kind of housing that we need. And so has your part of Germany come up with better solutions to ensure that what gets built meets the needs of the people who are looking for housing?
We have public organizations that still, we as a city own living rooms, living houses, apartment houses. So we can sort of direct the development. We can change the development. We can say what kind of flats we want, how expensive they should be. We have direct influence. So we have public. There's only Dresden who sold all just to get rid of all their Schulden.
Debt.
Right. But we have, and we keep it so that we can have influence on the markets.
Right. That's interesting. I mean, Nashville has a housing authority that has built housing for largely they focused on the very low income part of the population that will need a very large subsidy in order to be able to pay the current rent. And so they've done they've worked hard at meeting the need, but even that we're behind on. You know, it still takes money to do that. And then the other gap is people that are earning what we mean minimum wage, but that's still not enough in this day and age to be able to pay rent for what is being built. So just trying to figure out how to fill in that middle, and whether it's the city owning it or not. I would love to talk offline more about about your model.
We have living money. That's what it's called. So the city pays the rest for when you need, when you don't earn enough money, and you can prove it. The city pays the rest so that you can still live in your flat and your apartment.
And then you can be a contributing citizen who can work at a job and there's benefit of that. Great. I mean, I think we have a small amount of that, but still looking for other solutions. But that's helpful to know what you're doing there on that one. That was my question. I'll let you ask what you want to ask.
Not thought about questions. I've heard a lot of things.
That's okay. I want to talk just a minute about the Magdeburg Nashville connection through Sister Cities. Sister Cities International was started by President Eisenhower, who thought it could be a vehicle for peace, that people could get to know each other and other cultures and appreciate the differences instead of fighting over them. And Nashville became a sister city 40 years ago. We now have 9 different sister cities, and Magdeburg, as I said, has been one for quite a while. And you've each visited Nashville and Magdeburg. We do, as sister cities, we do exchanges. You know, adults come here and we send people there, and student exchanges, and are now doing a lot more online programs because people can't come here anymore and we can't go there anymore. So if you just take a minute and tell me what you think about sister cities in a governmental, because sister cities have to be approved by each city government. So what the role kind of might be in a government for that kind of outreach.
I will start just by saying that it was impressive to visit Magdeburg and discover that it's actually part of the government there, that they have it in their Rathaus. They've got an official room with gifts that have been given by their different sister cities. And I was lucky enough to be able to go to one of their conferences with all of their sister cities. So I got to meet people from Braunschweig and China, the city in China that does ice sculpting. Yeah. So just to see how much as a city they actually invest in it in an official standpoint. In Nashville, it's a nonprofit organization, but we still work really hard at offering the opportunity for people from different professions, and we've had some good exchanges between council members to go and see how other cities are running their government, which is just an invaluable lesson. And also to go and see how they do their transit and how they do their education. I mean, just to go to a school in Magdeburg and to see the bicycle parking area where there are literally hundreds of bicycles, you know, how the students have gotten themselves to school, which is something we can't imagine in Nashville, unfortunately, right now. So just to be able to see the way that other cities do things is an invaluable way to imagine what we could be doing better. So I have been really grateful for that. And that's why I have hosted over 20 something different exchange students and 5 or 6 different adult groups, and have visited Magdeburg and Caen, our French sister city, just hoping to learn everything I can about how other cities are running and how we can emulate them or support them. Works both ways.
Councilmember Meyer?
I think that our sister city friendship is a very lively friendship. It's a very active friendship. I've been there 7 years ago, and I'm still in contact, and I'm still, talking constantly. And I think that's most important. Yeah, like Berkeley said, it's the exchange, the looking at different problems, seeing how they are solved here and there, and yeah, being in contact is very, very important. And it keeps freedom, but it should not only be that. It is just getting exchanges and knowing experience and staying in contact is always important. And I think we have a monthly meeting with all our sister cities, or with the ones that are sister cities, and plans what to do. It's all been a little difficult now for the corona reason, but we will stay in contact and keep it alive and develop new projects and new things to do together.
Okay, well, I want to thank both of you, and especially our German participant who's now can go eat dinner, I guess. We've been lunching and learning. And I want to also remind everybody to check the website of the Women's Political Collaborative, for upcoming events that I think Stephanie talked about early on. And thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Stephanie.